Uh, Good morning, students. I am here with part 2 of Julius Caesar. Actually, I have made a rough division of the entire play prescribed for the students of class 10 CBSE, and I have divided, keeping in mind that the chunk I present to you, the part of the drama that I present to you, should not be too long. It should be understandable, and it should be according to your attention span. So yesterday we learned that Julius Caesar was murdered. Julius Caesar he had already decided that he would not go to the Senate house to humor his wife according to the wish of his wife. But Decius Brutus comes and other conspirators join in, and what happens you know very well. Now it is interesting to note that there are many small events which happen before and after Caesar's assassination, and we must observe them, we must take note of them. Number one, when Caesar was brought to the Senate house, Metellus Cimber proceeds before him, and he comes with a request that his brother's banishment should be revoked, should be ended, and his brother should be called back. Here the character of Julius Caesar and those of the conspirators have striking differences. On the one hand, Julius Caesar is arrogant, too sure of himself, and he behaves in a very snobbish manner. He looks down upon the conspirators, and conspirators are flattering him, and their flattery is superfluous. They are overdoing it. Like they are on their knees. Cassius says ki I low to thy feet, Julius Caesar. Cinna and Decius Brutus says, Caesar, oh great Caesar. And this fuels his pride. I mean Julius Caesar's pride. He calls them dogs, and he would kick them if they make low curtsies, if they bow before him. So they are making contrasting behavior on the stage, and dramatist has brought this out. Then what happens? First person to strike him was Casca, and he strikes him from behind. He strikes at his neck. This shows that conspirators, though their mission was great, their self-proclaimed righteousness, that they wanted to establish democracy and freedom in Rome, and that Julius Caesar was going to be dictator. The dramatist here presents that actually the fact is that despite their tall claim, the fact remains that they wanted to hit Julius Caesar from behind. Then when Brutus proceeds to kill Julius Caesar, Julius Caesar is overcome with shock. He doesn't believe his eyes that even Brutus can do this. So these are the many small things, some of the small things which are brought out by the dramatist, and students should take note of them. And one thing is remarkable here. Julius Caesar's best friend Mark Antony is taken away from the scene of crime very cleverly by Trebonius, because they knew full well that Mark Antony would object to it, would raise alarm, or would protest. So his presence would be an annoying presence. So Mark Antony is very cleverly taken away from the scene. He returns only after Caesar is assassinated. These are some of the things. Once Caesar is murdered, then in comes Mark Antony. And Brutus, as I told you, Brutus was an idealist. He thought that Cassius and other conspirators killed Julius Caesar for the good of Rome. And he was a very poor judge of human character. He could not understand Cassius and others. So he foolishly, it was his blunder to allow Mark Antony to make his speech from the public place, from the pulpit. And when Cassius raised objection that anything may happen, because he did not trust Mark Antony. Actually, it was the original plan of Cassius to kill both Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. But it was Brutus who dismissed this idea, because Brutus, like himself, thought that Mark Antony would not be any danger, and that they should not be seen as butchers, they should be seen as sacrificers. Okay, so Brutus protected Mark Antony, but Cassius had doubts about him. So when Brutus allowed him to make his speech, then Cassius was doubtful that Mark Antony may speak something which would prove that they killed Julius Caesar not for the good of Rome, but because of political rivalry or because of personal jealousies. They only wanted to eliminate Julius Caesar from the scene, because Julius Caesar was growing in power. So these are the few things. So in order to address Cassius's concern, he put some conditions on Mark Antony. Who? Marcus Brutus. Marcus Brutus put some conditions on Mark Antony, that he could mourn the death of Julius Caesar. He could take his body to the marketplace near the pulpit, and that he could make a speech on his funeral. But there were few conditions which were placed on Mark Antony. Number one, that Brutus would speak first. Mark Antony would not speak first. Brutus would speak first, and that in his speech Mark Antony would not blame the conspirators that they killed Julius Caesar because they were murderers, they were killers, and they killed Julius Caesar for wrong reasons. Okay, so this was the. Then another thing was that he was allowed to praise Julius Caesar. He could speak all the good things about Julius Caesar he could think of. He was allowed. Plus, he must tell the public that he was speaking under the permission of Marcus Brutus. And that, lastly, he must speak from the same pulpit. I would like to analyze all these conditions. Number one condition was that Brutus would speak first. Why was this so? Have you ever thought over this? Brutus wanted to clear all the doubts of the crowd. That crowd should not think, the people of Rome should not think that Brutus and company were not killers, they were sacrificers. They killed Julius Caesar not because they hated him, but because they had the good of Rome at their heart. They loved Julius Caesar, in fact, and it was a painful activity for them. It was a painful action for them to kill Julius Caesar. Actually, thereby people would think that Julius Caesar was put to death because of the good of Rome, not because these people hated Julius Caesar and wanted to kill them for the sake of killing. It was for the good of Rome. Number two, that he would not blame the conspirators in his speech. I mean Mark Antony. Okay, this means actually their image will remain clean and they will not be considered butchers or murderers. They would be considered sacrificers, purgers. Means they had, by murdering Julius Caesar, they had cleaned Rome of an ambitious man. Okay, and third thing was that he could praise Julius Caesar as much as he can, because they knew that Julius Caesar deserved that. They could not make Julius Caesar look like a villain. After all, he was the hero of Rome. So Brutus knew his limitation, that Julius Caesar could not be criticized after his death. And thereafter, that next thing is that he would speak from the same pulpit. Same pulpit means the crowd, the very crowd whom Brutus would address would be addressed by Mark Antony after him. Means Brutus would have brainwashed the crowd, would have changed their mind, because he knew that crowd may be fickle-minded and they are subject to emotional blackmailing and all such things, that they knew it. So this was the thing, and that he should also tell the people, Mark Antony should also tell the people that he was speaking under the permission of Brutus and others. This means after Julius Caesar, these were the people who would run Rome, who would be the administrators of the Rome, who would decide the future of Rome. So people of Rome must know this. Means who call the shots? Who call the shots? I mean these people. So these are the few things. But one thing I would like to point out here, and which has not been given in your book. It has been given in the original play in complete version of Julius Caesar, that while Brutus was making his speech from there, from that pulpit, Cassius was also making his speech from at another place. This means these conspirators had spread out, fanned out, and they were very quickly, very hastily spreading the message that liberty, enfranchisement, freedom, democracy, for these purposes they had killed Julius Caesar. So they gave themselves a lot of freedom, but Mark Antony was restricted. So these are the few things which happened, and they are very revealing. And then flaws in the character of Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar was fearless, number one. Julius Caesar was arrogant, number two. And these two things may be his undoings. These two things did not allow him to doubt the conspirators. And conspirators played upon him. And the dramatist has very cleverly brought out the two things before Julius Caesar is killed. They are superfluous in their flattery. They are fawning on him. They are just going down, crouching before Julius Caesar. And Julius Caesar's blood is fired. He feels that he is a northern star. He is so powerful that the dogs were wagging their tails around him. And finally, Julius Caesar did not take care. And another thing that they did, that Mark Antony was removed from the scene of crime. So students, please take note of these things. Okay, and I am sure you will be able to address those questions which are between the line questions which comes from the inside the text. You will be given extracts. So read the drama thoroughly and follow my class every day. Okay. If you have any queries, write in the comment section and subscribe to my channel. Have a good day.